Hello, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the September 7th developer update. Once again, this is an update where they decide to talk about legend balancing. I personally think this entire update is BS. I'll explain why later, but let's get started. And first thing is to decide what were overly used players and to look at statistics. They're explaining to us what numbers and where they're getting them from to get these percentages. Now, right away, the big problem here is where they're picking them from. Champion grade or higher, just go to Galaxy. Floor 50, you can achieve that with literally zero legends. And players use ban in Galaxy Live, that means nothing because you can be at any level of play. So again, no point. Now, looking at these stats, some things make sense. Metatron, Balteon, Duran, Jiho, Celestia, Carol Duke as the top contenders makes sense. I'm kind of surprised that Choi and Bell are so high up, but that's actually more because of PvE content. Askeladd purely PvE content. Shu is kind of both. Presti, this kind of makes sense. Jin used at 13% is incredible in my opinion. I don't remember last time I've seen one, and those stats look highly suspicious to me. William, Vonch 11, Torbeth, Alios, Jibril, Miri, Felix, and Nabi. I gotta say that Miri value is already pretty damn high, 7.3%. Now, what they're gonna do is they're gonna go down the list of 11 players who got a small balance. Those can be a buff or a nerf. Now, overall, some of them are good, some of them were deserved, and some kind of look stupid. So let's go fast. Choi, his do-it-yourself active, no more spirit cost. We good at that. Nabi, Volonté, this was a skill that increased that when you attacked her, she did 100% attack power increase and she got 50% critical resistance. This seems to be changed to DR. I hope it's 50%. I love using her already, but hey, if people don't like her and they want to buff a player I like, I'm down for that. Miri, they're admitting that her kit might be a little bit too strong. Oh my god. It's not like I've seen her shoot me for 16,000 dribble and 450 critical damage and 100% penetration with damage increase. No, I've never seen that. And legendary stones just blew her out of the water, and that was before those. So yeah, let's admit that maybe she needs a small nerf. So talking about Call of Rains, overly strong, downgraded. They're not giving us some value, so we don't really know what they're gonna do. And I don't really trust this. It's like when they told us that they were nerfing Glade and they gave her penetration resistance. That was just pretty disgusting. Kurl. Now, this is actually something that should never have been there in the first place. When they changed one of his skills, Song of Knife, they gave him the ability to steal attack power when attacking. The thing is that this would also activate when being attacked. Um, and the reason why this was a problem is not really because of midline. It wasn't a real issue, but this was being cheesed in backline because if your striker shot on a curl, the curl would lower his attack power by 30%. And this was something that you couldn't block, you couldn't remove, you couldn't do anything against. It's like a 30% damage reduction. Then you had elemental resistance, another 30%. And right there, you got around 50, 40 something ish percent. I'm not going to do the math. That can be blocked before looking at any other damage value. It was pretty broken. And on the other side, they had Alio. So you were forced to hit one of these two players, who was pretty frustrating. So I agree with this being a nerf, but it's not really that big unless you were doing the Alio's girl back thing. And in that case, you deserve it. Duran. Now, again, they're really not clear on what they want to do for him. So they're saying they want to play with that penetration decrease set on Unethical Being and changing the critical damage resistance granted by the skill Fate of the Absolute to attack power so that the users have more option to consider when setting up a defense line. So, what are you doing to the penetration skill? And when you're talking about attack power, is it an attack power nerf or is it an attack power buff? It's not completely clear. We just gotta see it when they finally do it. I don't fully know if this was good. I think that Mono Wormwood is not gonna be a fan of critical resistance going down because that's kind of what they run with. So that makes them worse in Mono. Again, we don't fully know what the attack power thing is going to do and what the changes is. So it could be a nerf, it could be a buff. All I know is Mono Wormwood people will feel this worse than the others. Alios, very simple. Active timer increase from 5 to 12 minutes. Active is critical damage increase and critical damage resistance. Pretty simple, striker or goalkeeper overall, we fine with this. I agree that the 5 minute timer made honestly no sense. Bell, for some reason, they felt like nerfing her and they believe it's a buff. Welcome to Big Ball. So they're going to add her a life buff to her passive skill controlling power, when slightly decreasing the other free stats, who might kind of be better stats. But I mean, I don't like Thunder, but I do find it kind of assy at this point. Just don't touch her. Um, so blah blah blah. Felix now. So this is where it starts getting really weird, especially because the last line, Kiskill Astral Agony can be a major restriction depending on the conditions. Well, yeah, it's true. You need to be hit by critical damage. Thus, will another condition. I gotta read that. When penetrating through an enemy line. So does that mean that he successfully penetrates or just he regularly penetrates? We gotta test it. And the thing is, they're saying the adjust the amount of health recovered in an effort to improve his usability. So adjust means a lot of different things because you add another condition. Are you nerfing it? Are you increasing it? We gotta see the value, but this could be interesting. I'm gonna insist on the could be. Valgbef, well, we've been asking for this for decades. They're still not listening to us, but they're making it a little bit better. There's one thing that I gotta say is very comical. Is when they say Valgbef has a good performance and a clear role that she plays in the game. I know Monolite players and they don't use her, but okay, I I benched her and she was my first legend. But let's let's fake that good performance makes sense with the worst legend in the game. However, she's been indirectly nerfed with the recent unique Spirit Stone balancing. She got buffed. Again, this is BB, so don't take it personally. We want to improve her passive skill Goddess of Battle by increasing the volume and decreasing the number of times it needs to stack it. Honestly, really, this is the only thing you guys could think of, like giving her a speed buff, making her line buff just permanent or not lost on death. Any of those things would have made her great, but no, once again, 5-6 buff later, she's still shit compared to Victoria, who's a season 1 5-star. I don't know what to say. It's shitty. It's still shitty. They might buff it a little. It doesn't matter. Now here are two very big changes, and the second one is honestly at this point insulting. So the first one is Metatron. They kind of play with her skill every legend patch now just because she's very used. And after kind of playing with every single one of her skills, they finally decided to attack the one skill why we loved her. And for those who don't actually know what skill that is, well, it's called Angel's Light 2. Angel's Light is the skill that does, when attacked, you recover 15% life and 10% action bar. Now, I do agree that maybe the 15% life was going a little bit too far. You could have changed that to 15% missing life. No, they went one step further, and now it's a stacking skill. You gotta be hit twice for it to activate. Now, this pretty much means that she's lost all PvE value, and I'm gonna be removing her of all those comps. But even for PvP, it really limits her and kind of makes Felix sound better. We know they're trying to push the newer legends, and this is a little bit insulting in a way. Overall, this is a very big nerf to her value, especially since over time her other skills have been nerfed. They've nerfed Mercy and Insanity. At some point, they played with her active. Now, we still have Devil's Whisper, who I honestly believe was pretty cool. But yeah, she really has two skills. It's Angel's Light and Devil's Whisper that people use, and they've nerfed it. So yeah, that's pretty bad. And then we have Balteon, who here it's clearly insulting. A well-used player, blah blah blah. Due to the pass number he can achieve, he has become too much of an unstoppable assister and was considered along with Durant with his balancing. Now, I know that a lot of people use him because of his values, but some other passers are more popular than him because they have something unique in his kit. Durant's only true value is the high pass value. He can't do anything else. He gives some pass and he gives some critical rate. And that was added later on after the patch they're mentioning, but that's just a little detail. So I gotta say, when you're telling me you're gonna be changing this, it sounds kind of insulting. And they're saying we like to give a twist to his existing strength by changing the pass stat to attack power in his passive Civ Guardian Will. So that is a skill that gives action speed, pass, and reflex. So he'd be losing a 30% pass skill. That is going to hurt him a little bit. Now, the thing why I say this is a problem is because back in the day when I used to run him, well, I still run him, but in the old days when I used him with Encompassing Soul, he had some much better stats for offense and some much shittier passer stats. But now they've removed the things that made him unique in that old build. They've changed his stats and made him a pure pass machine. And now he's losing that. So he's like a regular passer with nothing special about him and nothing who makes him better than other passers, just that he has a little bit of a slider pass effect that can be countered by the fact that they all got unique skills who just makes him shitty. But hey, I'm not gonna go fully there. Now, why do I think this patch note is kind of bullshit? Now, some of these nerfs were required. I'm not saying that they should not have been done. Okay, I agree. Metatron needed a nerf. Balteon, I don't. Beth needed a buff. Felix, we gotta see what this is. Bill, I think they're nerfing her. I don't know why. Alios is fine. Durant, I don't know what's going on. Kurl's fine. Miri's fine. Nabi's fine. Choi's fine. But the thing is, there are not 11 legends in this game, and this is where the problem begins. Some legends who clearly needed a balance did not get it. And who am I talking about? I'm not talking about the brand new legends that are going to get balance when they get their EEs. So it's kind of insulting that Miri's the only one that's really getting a nerf there. It means she was really broken. Nabi, I don't know why we're insisting on the new one so hard, but some players needed something. And when I'm talking about these players, I'm going to be talking about the fact they're not talking about any of the other legendary strikers. I mean, there are 4 legendary strikers, and only one was mentioned in 11 players. There's not that many legends in the game, though, so it's kind of shocking to me. So the first problem is William, Leventor, those are being pretty weak for a while now. Vonchi is not being countered by everything that's in the meta. I do think that a buff should have been given to those, and honestly, I think Leventor needs it the most. I mean, I've seen some people actually replace him by Vitos, and it works better. And that there's a problem there. And Jhin, just give Jhin self-healing already. He's the only goalkeeper in game I can even remember who doesn't have self-healing. He's a legendary goalkeeper. He should not be shittier than the regular 5-star ones. It's one of the other problems that we have in this game. So if we look at it in a way, they're trying to force us towards a different meta. And as we can see from the new stars and from the players they're using, they're actually trying to make us change once again towards a combination of new stars and new legends. Because what they've done is they've taken the things of old in a way and they've nerfed them to the ground. So Metatron doesn't work. You might need to go to Felix, who's more modern. Most people don't have him. And if not, you're going to be considering Nabi. It's the same story all over again. And once again, I don't really appreciate the way they're trying to force us into new legend players, into new star players. And this is, well, the usual way Big Balls goes. And this is kind of what's killing the game, that's killing the player base. And yeah, let's see how long this game goes. But I don't think it's going to have more than one more year to go because it's just getting too greedy, too grindy. And just think of the poor people who actually spend time giving these legends transcends and are now gonna need to try to change them. It's painful. It's too painful, and they've not increased the way to get crystals to the point that any of this makes sense. So write down in the comments what you think about this overall, and of course I'll be linking this article down below. Have a good day, guys.